all over the fucking ground. He didn't even have to flick his finger or do anything. As soon as he smiled, she fell over. It went on and on as Jagang ate and drank, and eventually, Ulicia asks how long until she dies, and is told through laughter that she died before she hit the ground.
That's just so fucked up that he lets this apparent torture go on for so long just to make everybody else in the room uncomfortable. And he's just still eating his pig and chilling.
Yeah.
It's fine. Doesn't bother him at all.
He has no problem with it. He actually, at this point, he has her go silent because his finger goes up. And then he tells them all that what they're seeing is her soul being tormented in the underworld. She's been dead for like a hot minute. And this is him using that wedge in her mind to show us what the fuck's going on in the underworld. He lifts his finger again, and she starts up again. She starts screaming, and he tells everybody that it's not going to stop until she rots.
It kind of stood out to me that he was talking about pulling strings earlier with Kaylin, right? Trying to find her or doing devious things over on that side of the world. And then here he is flicking a finger and making this lady like hop and shriek. And it's very puppet mastery.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I feel like he's trying, that's the point that's trying to get put across. I am in control.
100% all the time.
Full stop.
Yes. Jagang calls two Marizwith into the room, and these are the ones he calls by their specific names, like Slith and some other shit. He tells them to throw her down into the privy pit. So she's not only having to go through all of this and be tormented in the underworld, she is being thrown into shit until she rots while she screams.
Now, okay, so he obviously is in control of this screaming body, though, right?
Yeah, that's what he was exhibiting. Like, he could make it stop. Like, she's still gonna be being tortured, but he could make the body knock it off.
React to that.
Yeah.
So, wouldn't you just, like, and maybe Jagang is just a sick fuck, and we all really do know the answer to this, but wouldn't you be like, okay, I've made my point, she can stop shrieking now? If it's really not going to make much of a difference, and the body is dead.
I think it's one of two things. Either it is to unnerve everybody around him all the time.
Okay, check.
Because he either likes it or can stand it, which would go along with the first thing, too. Like, if he likes hearing screams, or if he can totally handle it because he's just off his rocker and he can, like, tune it out, then it serves to unnerve everybody around him while he isn't.
That's so fucked. So he's just doing it in spite, then. Pretty much.
Yeah, that's what I would think. I would think it would be terrible for everybody, though, if you have a screaming body in the privy pit. Like, is this where we're dumping our poop after we poop? Or are we pooping in the pit? No. Because if you're pooping in the pit, then you're pooping over a screaming body. I wouldn't want to poop there.
That's the privy pit, Jade. That's like, I mean, it's probably not exactly the same, but like for an army, you dig a giant-ass pit, and then you slap a box on top of the hole, and that's the privy pit. Now, it might be more of a ditch or something like that.
Like a log over a ditch or something?
Yeah, but like, if you went to go take a shit in the middle of the night and there were hundreds of these writhing, screaming bodies,
well, that's
I'm good. I don't have to poop anymore.
Like, when you poop, you're supposed to relax, I feel like.
Yeah, that would never happen.
And so, yeah, you just can't get a good one out, I feel like, if there's bodies below you screaming. So that was just a thought I had when they said that. Anyways, after they lug her out, Jagang orders all 6 women ringed. They can all feel it as each of the others goes through it, and it's not pleasant. It's super unhygienic and rough. They use a rusty iron pick, which I'm assuming, okay, is not sharp, or as sharp as it should be.
No, definitely not. What we're talking about is a lip piercing. That's what the ringing means.
Yeah, they like grab their lips really grotesquely. That's what they even use the word grotesquely when they pulled it out and they shoved the rusty pick in there and then they put the ring in there and they clamped it with their teeth. It was weird.
Yeah, it's very gross, but they use a rusty iron pick. And I know that throughout history, toothpicks have been a big thing since the Greeks even. So we're talking all the fucking way back. Toothpicks were a very particular thing, and for a while they were made out of softer metals, but people that didn't have the money would get picks made out of iron. Oh, literally anything, like a toothpick.
I was thinking it was like an ice pick.
I suppose
whatever,
could be.
You know, just like
That would make an unnecessarily large hole, but yeah.
oh, that's what I was picturing, like a big old rusty fucking poker.
No, I just assumed it was just like a little 2-inch spike that he just, like a piercing. Like a piercing.
Well, they're assholes. So I guess I just assumed it was a very dull, very large, rusty pick that they were just shoving in there.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? This is obviously a choice because he's the emperor. And I don't care if this is an outpost or not. You have access to the finer things because you're the emperor.
Yeah, I mean, they could just grind off the rust.
If he wanted, right, even that. I was going to say, he's got people to do it, but they just didn't want to do it. And so made this whole thing way fucking worse. And if I may, you had a lady with a ring in her lip underneath the table doing some servicing of some kind when we walked in here. Why would you want, and this is a very selfish point of view, especially from Jagang, but like, why would you want infected lip ring mouth situation anywhere near you when you knew that like rusty pick is probably gonna, you know what I mean? Do some damage of its own.
They aren't worried about germs, like you said. I think
just
yeah,
nope.
That's definitely... They aren't worried about the slaves getting tetanus or infections in their mouths because they have other ones, I guess. It's not a big fucking deal if one of them gets it. No, I think if one of his slaves ended up with infected mouths, he probably wouldn't be like, yeah, go ahead and clamp on. He'd probably find a different one.
Okay, that's a good point. That's like, I understand that he doesn't care about the slaves, but I'm like, okay, you don't care if they have rot on their bodies, but then you're sticking your dick in that. So
no, he's going to pick the one that's not rotted.
Okay. And so, that's why the change out.
Yeah.
Then it just, the whole thing is bad no matter which way you look at it. Like, we talked about this earlier. The lady popping out from underneath the desk, hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't appreciate it when it happened because it was, it's a little bit more dark.
Right, not in this situation, but it was like, oh, she had a fucking lady underneath there.
He kept it pretty cool. I wouldn't have guessed.
Okay, real talk, and then we can move on. No fucking way. No fucking way. He's stone-facing that. I don't believe it.
I mean, she must be real bad, or like, okay, maybe not bad. Maybe she's just not giving it a lot of effort at this point because she's been going through it for a while.
I just mean, if you are able to stone face it, then you should either, like we were talking about, either find somebody who can do that for you better or seek help.
Get a doctor.
Get a doctor
you
of some kind. Yeah.
If you can't feel it or it hurts when you feel it, get a doctor. Generally.
That's a good general
rule, I think.
That's our own version of Wizard's rules for the podcast.
Yeah, it's our PSA for you.
If it hurts or you can't feel it, find a doctor.
Anyways, by the time it was Ulicia's turn to get ringed, she was shaking from feeling it the 5 times before. Okay, she's been having to feel each woman get it done. No, I feel like
still linked, yeah.
The other women are also feeling that, but maybe it's not so bad because you just got it done to you, so it already hurts. Still in the same place?
I don't know. It kind of feels like it would be the same for all of them.
That's what I thought, but they made the writing made it seem like it was worse for Ulicia, but whatever. Anyways, Jagang tells them that he owns them now, and he has a use for them at the POP, Palace of the Prophets. They may even be able to kill Richard Rahl for him when it's time. They may get, like, super important jobs and shit. You just gotta follow the rules.
Don't fuck around.
Don't want to find out. At this point, Jagang is ready to start the lessons that Ulicia insists repeatedly that they don't need. We get it, you know?
Yeah, no.
You illustrated it perfectly.
We're not gonna do that.
He calls the sailors at the back of the room, who everybody collectively has pretty much forgotten. Like, I forgot that they were there.
There was some other shit going on. We're like, oh yeah, there's a bunch of guys back there.
Yeah. Oh, they just got a show. But he tells them that they're gonna enjoy having the ladies for the night. This is his plan, not to kill these dudes, to give them their revenge. Instead of Ulicia getting her revenge. It's a whole really bad night for her. Things are not going well.
You know how we just said that all of her plans were fucked up, even the little small side detail plans?
Yeah.
Well, he's got all of those covered, and he's still counting up.
Yes. She tries to say something at this point, and she's swiftly shut down and told if she uses her magic in any way against his wishes, she's gonna end up like Christabel. Basically, you can't fight.
Which is not to say that she can't. Just that you know what I mean?
He has to approve of it first.
Okay, so she is unable to use her magic unless, or that, I guess that's what I was going to ask. Is it that she is able to use her magic? Like, if she was like, I'm going to turn it around, and not Jagang, because apparently that won't work, but I'm going to electric zap this guy back here, would she be able to get away with that, and then an instant later he'd kill her, or would he just stop her ahead of time, like he was saying?
I think it was one of those situations where you now need to expressly ask for permission or get permission to use it. That's the way it came across to me. Like, if you use it against my wishes, which my wish at this current moment is that you don't, then you're going to be fucked. But then he turns to the sailors and he gives them some ground rules for what's going to be going on as they start grabbing at the girls and the women. All of them, really.
They already had a good idea.
Yeah.
I feel like.
They are not to kill these girls. I keep calling them girls. I feel like that's demeaning them in a way because they're not girls, but it's easier to come off my mouth for some reason. Maybe because then this doesn't seem so serious. I don't know.
Because they're sisters, girls.
Yeah, I don't know. But they are not to be killed, and they need to be returned in good enough condition in the morning to serve him. No broken bones, basically, which actually I feel like does limit a lot of what they're going to do. They can still hurt you pretty bad without breaking bones, but you have to be careful in order to not break bones. So you can't give as much force as you would if you weren't caring about broken bones.
I mean, this always fucks me up because if you want to break somebody's bone, like, you can break somebody's bone, okay? But for what Jagang is giving these sailors, which is the sisters, and they were already killing dudes, right, on the way here. So there is a lot of, like, anger towards the sisters, I'm assuming. But, and this is awful, but, like, people are raped all the time. It's brutal. It's bad. And broken bones do happen, but it's more of the result of a fight, I would assume.
Yeah.
Than I just want you to hurt so damn bad, I'm gonna break your arm.
Oh.
And I get the rule, right? He wants to use them tomorrow, and it's an awful thing. But I'm just like, how fucked up, even if you have some fucked up stuff in your head, how fucked up do you really have to be to, like, the first thing I'm gonna do is break your leg?
Well, I think
then, like, I just don't.
Okay, I mean, they could still be, like, cut and stuff, but, like, you can't throw them against walls.
Fuck, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, but you can't, like, throw them against walls. You can't beat the shit out of them, like their face. I mean, I would assume broken bones includes, I mean, maybe not, but I would assume it includes face. And,
yeah.
Like,
no broken bones.
Don't use weapons on that. Like, you know what I mean? I think...
No, I didn't say that.
Seems... No, he didn't, but I think it just implies you have to use a higher level of control. So, I mean, maybe most people wouldn't jump straight to breaking somebody's arm, but also broken hands happen fairly easily if you're being really rough.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
maybe not in regular rough sex, that's not what I'm trying to say, but...
But I mean, during a fight.
Throwing people around.
Like a resistance type. There's no resistance here.
Yeah.
They can't. I guess that's what I was getting to. Like, why? I know it's a good thing for him to say, hey, don't break their bones, but at the same time, since they can't fight, they have no choice.
They can't use magic. That doesn't mean they can't fight back.
Throw fist.
I mean, it's
I don't have any love for the Sisters of the Dark, but at the same time...
It's kind of pointless to fight.
Yeah.
It's going to get you hurt worse, probably, but...
But still, you kind of hope they do. Even though they're the bad guys, you're just like, don't let that happen to you.
Hey, we know some guys just like the screaming and...
Yeah.
Like Gale. Fucking Gale. What an asshole.
Gale.
Anyways.
Gale Taro.
All these guys are supposed to draw lots also, so that none of the women are neglected. Because he knows if they get to choose, they're going to choose, the hot ones and leave out the ugly ones. That's what he's thinking anyways. So Jagang tells the women that they don't have enough whores for his army, so their new job is going to be doing that for all but 4 hours of the day. Doesn't that sound fun?
I work 10 to 12s, and 10 is a fuck enough, and I'm not doing that.
No.
So,
Yeah, it's